Hello everyone and welcome back to another FanHome Star Trek Starships collection review. I have issue 3, I think. Yes, issue 3, the USS Farragut NCC-1647. This is the Farragut that was seen on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This is supposed to be James T. Kirk's ship, the ship that he served on prior to becoming captain of the Enterprise. And this ship was mentioned and referenced all the way back in the original series, I believe in the episode Obsession. And with the whole cloud entity killed his crew, or a big chunk of his crew, and forced him to take command, and etc., etc. But for decades, that is to say, from the original series until Strange New Worlds, decided to change things for no reason. The official canon has always been that the USS Farragut, the original that is, was always Constitution class. But they have retconned that, or tried to, because in my head it's still Constitution class. And I believe it was one of the original 12. So I don't know. Nevertheless, here is the Farragut that came in a couple of weeks ago. My next issue, the Enterprise F, is already on its way. So I wish the time gap was a little bit smaller. But anyway, moving right along. So yeah, as you can see, I have the box with the ship. Great art on the box as usual. Sides, front, back, all of that good stuff. And I'm going to open it up, get the magazine out, and dive right into it. All right, folks, and here it is, the magazine. Issue number 3, USS Farragut, NCC-1647. Got the Star Trek Starships collection logo there. A nice image of the ship on the cover. And let's turn the page and see what we got. All right, so taking a look at it, we can see how to mount the stand onto the model, so that's always a good thing for those of us who struggle with these things. And a little brief stats here. It is 316 meters long, Captain Garovic, and phasers and photon torpedoes for weaponry, and has impulse and warp engines. And there's a view of the ship there with the nacelles hanging down below. And then we turn the page and another model or CG rendering of it, as well as text about it. And I believe they mention the sort of canon about it being Constitution class in this magazine, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And from what I read, I remember this was called Bellerophon class. So that's new. And then annotated views or unannotated views of the ship there. Different perspectives, and the designing of the Farragut. And of course they do address the alleged canon inconsistency and the way they got around it, which seems to be the way that most modern Star Trek gets around quote-unquote canon, is that they just simply say, oh, well, they never mentioned it, or it was never seen that it was something else, so we can say that it was this. It's the same way that they sort of shoehorned Michael Burnham into this whole thing, which in my mind, she still doesn't exist. But the same way that they tried to say, well, just because Spock never talked about her, that doesn't mean he didn't have a sister. Well, they're applying that same logic to this Farragut. That just because we didn't see it on a diagram or an illustration or something, or even on screen as Constitution class, they can say that it was something else. So anyway, so yeah, here's that. And of course, Captain Kirk, the only Captain Kirk. And some of the imagery and of the design process. And interestingly enough, of course, they took inspiration from the Reliant, the Miranda class, the famous Miranda class that we all love. And one thing that I did like, I have to say, in looking at this magazine, and just from what I could see of the model, is that they took major inspiration from the Marvel Comics early Voyages run, which I think was fantastic. that series should have been the exact template that the producers should have used for Strange New Worlds. It should have been this whole thing where it took place right after the Cage left off, with the original Enterprise as it appeared from the Cage, slightly updated, not updated to the extent that Strange New Worlds and Discovery did to it, but and basically pick up where it left off. And there were a series of missions after that, which would have made for some great storytelling. And I think there was even a time travel episode that, well, Strange New Worlds did borrow heavily from elements from that early Voyages episode, where I think it was Yeoman Colt ends up in the future and sees an older Captain Pike still in charge of the Enterprise by the time of the Undiscovered Country, and Spock never died, and Kirk never got in command of the Enterprise, and I believe some other things happened. But yeah, it was a great story, great read by Marvel Comics, and you can find it, I think IDW reproduced it. But anyway, so yeah, some more about the text, and some more views of the ship there, and then without fanfare, it just simply ends, more or less. You got a dedication plaque there, which is cool. Maybe we'll see that in the future from the collection. That's pretty much it. Pretty solid magazine, despite my reservations on the design. So now let's dive into the model itself. All right, folks, and here is the model itself. Not too bad. A nice sort of ancestor of the Miranda class, more or less. The saucer is mostly metal, so that's good. The nacelles are plastic. And for those of you who get these, you gotta be careful because these things are delicate. These nacelles, and especially the pylons, are delicate, and they could easily snap off, especially on the edge here where they're joined to the rest of the model, and you can almost see the glue that they used to sort of keep it in place. But for the most part, for anyone that I've seen where the nacelles have detached, they're easily fixable unless the pylon is just like snapped in half, which I haven't seen yet. And my deflector is intact, so that's nice. The registry is nice and crisp, very much like and reminiscent of the Discovery Strange New Worlds Enterprise that we got from the Eaglemoss collection way back in the day now. Seems like so long ago. And the font is nice there and bold. USS Farragut NCC-1647. The bridge looks nice, pretty plain, and I think that's supposed to be the screen, or not screen, but the transparent window, I guess you might say. Something that I wish that modern Star Trek would do away with. You got not a whole lot of detail on the saucer. I mean, the Aztecing and the paint looks all right, but it's pretty plain. The nacelles have the NCC-1647 on it, but there's no Starfleet symbol. I don't understand why these old Star Trek ships, or rather these newer Star Trek ships from modern Star Trek, seem to be missing that famous Starfleet's pendant that used to go on along the side. Yeah, we got the registry, fine. Yes, we have the registry everywhere. Great. But it would be nice to have that Starfleet symbol on there somewhere. And to be fair, as much as I moan and groan that this is not a Constitution class and that it's a break from canon and all that, this does look like something that could have been in the TOS era, I think. Although maybe more after Enterprise, less so TOS, but yeah, it does look good. The nacelles look great. There's no clear blue inside the nacelles, but we do get the blue warp coils or Bussard collectors. I don't think the Bussard collectors were really in back then, but I think these were warp coils. I could be wrong. I have to check out my tech manuals. The outer rim of the saucer looks okay. The windows don't appear to be misaligned or anything. Then again, they didn't really put much paint or anything into them. They're just kind of there. they're not really highlighted as a feature. They're just indented onto the metal there. And speaking of metal, yeah, I think this is plastic as well. So the top part of the saucer is metallic, the bottom and the nacelles and everything else below, for the most part, being plastic. And I think this all comes off. So pretty solid model. I have not or don't remember seeing the episode where this ship was in for Strange New Worlds. So I may have to go and check that out. But yeah, overall, not a bad model. Will be nice in the collection, and fits in your hand about that big. So these things definitely are much larger than their Eagle Moss counterparts. And I guess if I had to compare, the saucer looks or reminds me of a pizza cutter, with this being a handle, and you could kind of, you know, but yeah, I can definitely see the Miranda class or that design from the Marvel Comics run influenced or being used heavily here. Looks great. I think it's a good looking model. The impulse engines are orange, so no plastic there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really have much to say about the actual ship because I didn't see the episode. I only read the magazine. But the model is pretty solid. And if you love Strange New Worlds, and you love all of these ships, regardless of what universe or what timeline or whatever it came from, then I would definitely say this is for you. These models are definitely a little bit more pricier than their Eagle Moss counterparts, so be mindful of that. And it fits onto the stand like so. And pretty sturdy. The saucer bearing the majority of the weight. And so yeah, guys, that pretty much is it for issue number 3 of the USS Farragut. And until next time, guys, live long and prosper. And I look forward, of course, to sharing with you, which should be coming any day now, the USS Enterprise F, the XL, along with the Rack to Geno mug, and I believe an LCARS printout or something in that box as well. So I look forward to sharing those things with you as soon as I receive them, or get to opening them, that is. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or you want to complain or anything, please, of course, drop the line down below. I'll be more than happy to answer you as soon as I see it. And please be safe out there, guys. Take care of yourselves. We live in a very troubled world right now, and I know people are struggling, trying to make ends meet. And I wish you all good health and your families good health. And yeah, and God bless and take care. Bye-bye.